Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Tamara Brown. She's the interim CEO at Superior Gold. They've done a fantastic job with a turnaround exercise there, but they are going to be bringing in a new CEO towards end of June, July period. We're looking forward to seeing how they get along with that. Tamara talks to us about it. Also, their quarterly results seem to be quite impressive. They're pleased anyway. So if you want our thoughts and opinions on the conversation, you can find them at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. We've got commentary from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities. We've got training courses, and we do summaries of all the interviews that we do just to save you some time because we know you're busy. And why not go and join a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly, safe environment, free from judgment, trolling and abuse, all that nasty stuff you see elsewhere. And it does sound appealing to you. Join us at cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too. So give us a like, leave your thoughts below. And if you want to see precisely what we talked about today, take a look at the timestamps in the description below. Tamara, how are you?
Hi, Matt. I'm well. How are you doing?
Very good. Spring is in the air. We are.
Spring is in the air.
Spring is in the air. And how are things there?
Very well, Dave. Look, we've just come out of a quarter, so everyone's happy at the end of reporting a quarter, and you've done all that hard work, and now you get to go back to the day job of working out what other great things are we going to look at.
Well, yeah, that's the reason of the call. Actually, I just wanted to talk to you about some of those things because, again, looking at the trends in the marketplace, gold's in a sort of unusual place, flatlining, as they say. But look, before we get stuck into it, if you don't mind, give us that 1 minute overview of the business for people new to it, and I'll pick it up from there.
Absolutely. So Superior Gold, TSX listed gold producer. We own 100% of the Plutonic gold operations right in the heart of Western Australia. So a great mining jurisdiction with a big gold ore body on top of it. So it's produced around 6 million ounces in its history, and it's got a lot of life ahead of it. So We've bought this asset in 2017 from Northern Star, and we are conducting what I would describe as a turnaround here with respect to getting the operation back and going. We've got a few different areas we're focused on. There's an underground operation already producing gold. We're bringing online new open pits. We have the opportunity to bring online a second mill, and then obviously also the opportunity to find that next big discovery, Matt. So we're very busy. We've got a lot of things we're working on, and delighted to be here today.
Fantastic. We've had you on a couple of times before, and it's kind of an interesting story to us, and because I love a turnaround story, okay? But it's not just turning around operations on the ground. You've got to turn around people's trust in how you've got to where you are today, okay? So we've talked previously in the past about some of the things the company didn't get right. You've come in, restructured things, and getting things moving again. Now we're able to talk about some of those things. And the success of some of those things, your quarterly numbers. Do you want to give some of the highlights and we can maybe talk about them?
Sure, absolutely. So since I've been here, we've been really focused on getting back to basics with respect to the geology and the mine planning at Plutonic. So just putting in place the way things should be done. And as I said to you the first few times, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes some while to get traction. And so we've seen that. We have had quarter-on-quarter improvements, but we saw what you might call a bit of a breakout in Q1 with a jump up in our production level. And that absolutely, starts to show you that here we have this asset. It can produce a significant amount of free cash flow. And that's at these levels where we have a very low CapEx growth profile ahead of us. And so I get excited about what tomorrow brings. But Q1, Matt, we saw production just over 17,600 ounces, which has been the best for quite a while here at Plutonic. And with I guess it's the denominator story. So with those ounces up, that all-in sustaining cost per ounce came down significantly, which I think is what investors really needed to see in order to start to build that confidence and belief in this turn.
Well, that's one of the basic numbers that they like to see because it's easy to understand and easy to compare against peers. But likewise, the increase in production, it's great. But in the context of the turnaround story, you can't just focus on early, ASIC numbers looking impressive. You got to do the basics really well to set up for the future. So again, just remind us in terms of that turnaround. So where are you investing your dollars? Where are you investing your time to kind of set up for a sustainable production level?
Absolutely. So great point. There's many layers to this onion. And so when I came in, it was very simple to say, okay, well, Our productivity levels are very low on our equipment that we have. They're in the maintenance bay more than they are operating for shareholders. So that was a very early, easy win where we said, okay, let's invest some money into revitalising that underground mining fleet. So we brought on 2 new trucks and 2 new loaders, which has significantly improved that availability, so that the dirt's not sitting underground, so to speak. The next piece was that we bought back a royalty on the property. We bought back a 2% NSR last year, which obviously paves the way for increased future free cash flow. And that was an important investment into the operation here. I'm a passionate believer that if you can buy back royalties, the assets deserve to put that money into the ground. And so that's the next piece, putting money into the ground. So we got a 3rd drill rig here, which is completely dedicated to exploration. And that's an important part of the story, Matt. People talk about, well, you just need, you need to get ahead with your development. But if a mine is at a point that it doesn't have enough inventory drilled, you can't develop into it if it's not even drilled. So the first step is drilling. Increase the amount of drilling that you have with an ore body so that you can identify the places which you're going to develop into, etc. So that drill rig has done an excellent job of, to be honest, to be transparent, in the first quarter, we put out a program where there were 7 holes. All 7 holes hit significant mineralisation. So really positive return rates for this. And so when people talk about investing in the ground, that's exactly it. Putting money into drilling, putting money into development. We're doing both of those things, and we're starting to see the benefits of that, in addition to even more fundamental work with respect to geology. So here at Plutonic, the geological ore body, it's quite complex, to be honest. It is. It has a system of parallel lodes where the gold folds and moves around. And so a geologist's ability to interpret where it's going is challenged because they can't see under the ground. So when I came in, it was one of the fundamental issues I noticed. We have mined historically at Plutonic in and around 50% of our gold outside of reserves and resources. So that means that you have a reserve and resource, which is a model that estimates how much gold is in the ground. And then the miners come along and mine, and they actually produce from that reserve, but also 50% of it is outside. So by definition, the model wasn't predicting how much gold has been here, and that's for the last 30 years. So that has been the piece that we've been most focused on. And that is, it's a pretty simple process when you boil it down. It's informing the model with more information. So historically, they will have included drill holes in the underground, and they will have interpreted between this drill hole and this drill hole and said, okay, well, the gold continues in between these 2 points, or I assume it does. When you get out there and you find that maybe that model doesn't predict it as accurately as you thought, you've got an issue, and you can't manage your mine plan and your business as well. So now with the advances in technology, we have had the ability to incorporate all historical geological data. So that's 30 years of face sampling, drilling, old pit monitoring, geological surface samples. All this data has gone into our database now, and it's called 3D modelling. And we are now informing all of our mine planning, not all of it yet, but some of our mine planning with these improved models. And our plan is to do this across the whole ore body. And what we've found is these 3D models, they have structural, alteration, lithology, all the technical things that allow the geologist and actually the model to interpret where the gold's going. And so it has improved our mine planning. It has improved our targeting. So 2 very important areas that allow us to manage our business better. So that's a lot of words around saying that we're improving the fundamentals of how we do geology and mining.
I like the word fundamentals when it comes to mining, because it's it's based in truth. It's not about promotion. It's not about telling the story well necessarily. But what's intrigued me that's obviously significant, since it's going to improve the likelihood of success. Awesome. Keeps the cost down. Awesome. But all the smaller things that you were talking about doing there too, it seems almost too simple.
Look, I think that the guys on site would tell you none of this is simple or easy. It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of people involved in what I've just described. So for example, putting this data, these face sample discs in, takes hours and hours and hours of geologist day. And so none of it just happens. It takes very experienced people's, long history of knowing the ore body, taking the new systems, the new technology, the new 3D modeling, and incorporating those two things such that we can now, and it's kind of turned a light on in the underground for us, Matt. Again, this is a process that takes time. It would take us about 12 months to do this across the whole ore body. But from what I'm seeing right now, it is certainly better predicting, where the gold exists in 3 dimensions, which allows us to manage our business better.
Right. So you're starting to make Plutonic sing a little bit. You've got a long way to go, but you're starting, right? You're starting that. The next phase is open pit, right? Mm-hmm. So again, we talked about getting the fundamentals right, laying the groundwork down. So where are you with that?
Great question. So that comes on, our first open pit, Plutonic East, comes online mid-year. And so we're on track to deliver that. And that's obviously an improvement to that supplemental ore that we feed to the mill. And, it's a doubling of the grade. So obviously more profitable tons going through that mill, which is important. But I will note to you that modelling thing I was talking about doesn't just work in the underground. It actually helps us with these open pits as well. So that technology or that improvement in our geological model is going to have, added benefits throughout the operation.
Right. Okay. And I think we have talked in the past. I don't necessarily want to go on it today because I want to get back to something else in a minute, which is the second mill, etc. But just in terms of this quarterly, it's good. You need to keep doing it. Okay. I'll just remind people of this. Last time we spoke, beginning of April, 64 cents, 80 cents today, 25% improvement. It's bucking the trend somewhat, not just mapping against peers in terms of how they're performing, but you're actually going up, which very few gold companies seem to be doing at the moment. So that's good news. People are listening to this, but they're going to need to see it next quarter and the quarter after and the quarter after that. So the degree of confidence that you have, how would you describe that?
Look, as I said to you last time, I'm not yet focused on the share price. There'll become a time when that is appropriate. I'm focused on just doing what needs to be done at the operation in the underground with respect to our productivities, all of our availabilities. On the HR side, there's so much work to be done here before I can say, okay, now she's operating as as it should, benchmarked against appropriate peers. We've got a big gap there. I do believe that we can pull out another 20% with respect to our productivities, just in how much gold we produce for the dollars we spend.
Okay, here's the question I wanted to ask you about. Okay, when we arranged this call, this is a question I wanted to ask you. Okay, we've had so much inbound about the job that you've done on the turnaround. So, it's the beginning end of it. There's ways to go, but people are really impressed by that. They're saying to you, why don't you just stay on as CEO?
Look, I appreciate that. I really do. I think it's because when I came in to look at this and the board said, tell us what it needs, it was very clear to me with a blinking light. How can you execute on this turnaround to the utmost efficiency from anywhere other than Perth? And so I am not that 30-year experienced operator, Matt, that has done this many, many times. I can see from a business perspective what needs to be done, but I do believe that bringing in an experienced operator as the CEO will simply elevate that, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be on the board. I'm going to be having that input to the strategy piece, which I'm passionate about. But having an operator on the ground in Perth, I think, is that piece that just needs to, then we increase the speed at which we achieve these deliverables.
Okay. Where are you in that process then? Have you found someone?
Yes, happy to say we have. Haven't yet announced it and finalised it and inked it, so can't talk about it. But I was very impressed with the quality of candidates that saw the opportunity here at Plutonic. So you've got a couple of things driving that, Matt. COVID has had a big impact, I think, on the mining industry with respect to where people want to work. So, we have very experienced people that are caught in locations that maybe they didn't want to, that's not where their family is. And I have the great advantage of having an operation sitting in Western Australia where we have a significantly experienced workforce with respect to mining. And so with that, Australians are, very good miners. They're known as very good miners. And so you've got a situation where people want to stay home right now. They want to not be caught in 2-week quarantines, flying in, flying out of international operations. Someone that has the opportunity to come in, base themselves in beautiful Perth, Western Australia, where there is no COVID, where you are operating free from all of the restrictions we have here in North America and Europe. And they get the opportunity to come in, be a CEO of an operation that clearly has a lot of upside. It has a big gold system, all of the infrastructure it needs, and a very clear turnaround plan ahead of it. I found people were very excited about that. So the quality of the people are excellent, and I know that shareholders will be impressed.
Right. Okay. You've had a choice of people. Wasn't any difficulty. Okay. So the timing is when? Are we looking Q2?
Yeah, look, I came in July 31st, Matt. So I have a 1 year, I had a 1 year mandate, and so that's coming up. I think it's fair to say to shareholders that by July 31st, they'll know what's happening with respect to the business moving forward.
Okay, but between now and then, the turnaround plan, nothing's changing. You're not having second thoughts about any aspect of what you put in place.
No, I think that it was pretty clear to me. This little mine just needed to be run and invested in, and that's what we're doing.
Okay. Just a quick word on exploration and budget. Is that still good?
It's great. So just for a reminder for people, we put in a drill rig dedicated exploration in the underground. So one drill rig dedicated exploration. It's a big system here. We've got a lot of infrastructure. We could facilitate a second drill rig. The results certainly warrant it. And then mid-year, in our plan, we have, for the first time in many years, a surface drill rig coming in. Obviously, it is part of that main pit pushback, the infill drilling, but what it gets to do is drill that mineralised mine mafic all across the property. If your investors remember, we talked about it, I think, last time. And so that hasn't been done since Barrick days. We're following up on drill holes like 16 grams over 2 metres, 20-odd metres below surface. So for me, the opportunity to uncover both an excellent underground operation with exploration upside, but a brand new open pit surface plan for shareholders, I think that has the ability to turn this story very, very quickly.
Okay, it's May. July's not too far away. Are you going to save all your news until the new CEO's here, or have you got more for us?
Look, we're not stopping anything. There's no reason to be slowing down on what we should be doing, waiting for someone. No, shareholders shouldn't be thinking that. Anyone coming in has bought into what the board and I see here, and they'll be they're already a part of that team as far as understanding what we're doing. And if I ever needed to, I could consult with them moving forward.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the catch up. Stay in touch. Hopefully we'll see you soon. I'm looking forward to news on all fronts.
Terrific. Thanks so much for having us, Matt.